Hi everybody, and welcome back to the homestead. If this is your first video with us, my name is Jessie. I am the mama of the homestead, and my family and I live on just 1 acre. We produce as much food as we can for ourselves. We have a garden, we've got chickens and fresh eggs, a few guineas, a duck, some rabbits. We primarily use the rabbits for fertilizer, but if I need to breed them, I can. What we can't provide for ourselves here at home, I try to do it in the most frugal way possible. Local farmers markets, discount grocery stores and stuff like that. So if this is your first time with us, welcome. I hope you enjoy your time and I hope you stay with us. Today is spaghetti sauce day. I've been doing nothing but tomatoes pretty much for the month of August. Other stuff I'll do when the tomatoes slow down, but they are coming in hot and heavy. In the last couple weeks, I have managed to preserve 59 jars of salsa for my family, most of which was grown right here. Some of the garlic and some of the onions was not, but we did the best we could, and it is delicious and we're good for the year. So now I'm moving on to pasta sauce. Now if you have seen my videos before, you've seen that a lot of times I will roast my tomatoes and peppers and stuff in either the oven in a 9x13 dish if it's a small batch, or a crock pot, or if it's a really big batch, I go to the roaster pan. So my tomatoes and peppers and onions are already roasted in this pan, and I'm getting ready to separate them. Just any utensil, I've even used a ladle, will work. But we're going to separate the tomatoes from the water because I use all my tomatoes. I did grow paste tomatoes this year, and they're really cool. I like them. I'll definitely do it again, but I did not grow enough plants to do all of our pasta sauce. So my slicers are in there, my paste tomatoes are in there. I'm even going to add a can of tomato paste from the store, and even my little cherry tomatoes. I throw them all in there to use them up as much as we can because, you know, cherry tomatoes count too, right? So I'm going to get this done. Once I get it separated from the water, I'm going to put it in my big pot, and then I'm going to add some garlic. I am out of local garlic, homegrown garlic. Even a friend that grows garlic, I'm out. So I had to get just some peeled garlic because it was quick. This was a little over $2. For seasoning, you can use whatever you want. Everybody has a preference. And I have made it before trying to do my own seasonings, but I had some of this Mrs. Wages, and I am going to throw it in this time around. And then for sugar, I try to stay as low sugar as I possibly can on pretty much everything. And when I omit the sugar when I can. But with pasta sauce, you need a little bit or it tends to be bitter. And you do what's best for you. Some people are perfectly fine with regular sugar. They do the normal amounts. And even a smaller amount of sugar is fine. But I have found that a little brown sugar in the spaghetti sauce just adds a depth of flavor. Of course, there's molasses in brown sugar, for those that might not know. And my family likes it a lot. And I don't eat enough of it to really affect me anymore. So those that can have it, you know, the younger ones, they're fine. So we're going to throw in just this little bit. It's probably not even 2 cups of brown sugar. I think it calls for a cup. I'm not sure. Actually, it calls for a half cup or a 1/4 cup. I don't have my glasses. I'll look it over and double check. But anyway, we're going to throw that little bit of brown sugar in there. So I'm going to strain this. I'm going to get it in my pot, separate the water. We're still going to have to cook it down, add these things, and then we're going to just go from there. I'll let you see what it looks like when I get it all transferred. Okay, so there is a lot of juice because I just used, you know, they're not all paste tomatoes, and you can see some peppers, and this little kitchen utensil here works great for straining off water. I'm not going to get all of it. I am going to have to boil some of it in the pot. You can see some of the juice that's still in there. This just takes a large step in not having to take so long to get the juices down. And there's a cherry tomato miss, so I'll have to get it. Another positive thing about doing it this way is the stuff that I miss, I can see it easier. So I'll get him. But anyway, this is what it looks like. And do not throw this juice away. Keep it and can it whenever you can your pasta sauce, or save it for a different batch because you don't have to can the juice as long as we will have to can the sauce. But it's excellent. It's tomato juice, for crying out loud. Keep it. Use it in your soups. Use it in your chili. Anything that you would need water for, you can use this. So definitely don't throw it away. There's another cherry tomato. Keep it. Okay, see all those tomato seeds? I'll strain the rest of it off, but I wanted to show you the tomato seeds tend to sink to the bottom. So when I get to that last little bit that has a lot of tomato seeds, I don't keep that. I give that to the chickens and I get eggs out of it. So now, one thing I forgot to mention earlier is normally I dig out my mill and I run everything through the mill and it eliminates all of the seeds and any skins that I miss and what have you. But I don't have that kind of time today because my grandbabies will be down here and they will be looking for their next meal really soon. So I'm doing everything as quick as I can and I'm just throwing it in a pot. But if you have a mill and you have the time, set it up and run your stuff through if you don't want the seeds, and you can get rid of every single one of them. But I'm going to end up losing just a little bit of juice because when I strain down to nothing but seeds, I'm going to leave it and give it to the chickens. I may lose juice, but I'm going to get eggs, and I'd rather have eggs anyway. So there you go. I just wanted to show you how the bottom looks. See all those seeds in there from the tomatoes? There will be some in my sauce this go around, but most of them are in the bottom. I got you a little low, but I mean, you want to see this, right? So I've got everything strained. I've got about a half a pot. I'll probably be easier to bring the phone over, but this is tomato juice. This is what I managed to save. There's no seasonings or anything in this. It's in this pot, or it will be. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to dump the fresh garlic. I'm dumping the whole bag. Get out of there. Which comes to about 6 ounces. So honestly, it's not as much as it looks like. And then I've got my Mrs. Wages. This is just the regular pasta sauce. I'm going to dump it in. And I had 2 envelopes of this out. But I think I'm going to wait and taste it. And if I like it, I'm not going to use the second one. But if I feel like it needs it, then we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and add this. And I'm going to do about half of what I have here. You just want enough. I'm not real good with measurements, y'all, but if you look on the back of the package, you'll see it. I'm going to add, it's about half of what was in this bag of light brown sugar. And then I'm going to taste it again when it's ready to see if I need to add more or if that's good enough. And then this is tomato paste. And this is to help thicken up your sauce. And I'm going to put quite a bit because I still have a lot of tomato juice in here, even though I strained it out. And plus I need to use this up. I've had this for a while and it needs to be used, and then I can go get more for my pantry. This is one thing I don't really bother making for myself because it would take so many tomatoes. So I just buy the tomato paste. And a little bit goes a long way. It lasts a really long time. Okay, so I think we've got everything added. I'm going to bring it up to a simmer. And once the juice, I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute, but once the juice cooks down and it's got more of a sauce consistency, then we're going to get out our stick blender. But I'll show you that in a little bit. So here it is. I just turned the stove on. You can see there's quite a bit of liquid in here. See it? And that's going to have to come down. So we're just going to stir it in. And I'm going to see how she looks, how she tastes, how she feels. We may add that second one. I had enough tomatoes in my roaster to do 2 envelopes, but it just kind of felt like a lot. So I'm going to try one and see how it goes. But this has to cook for a while and get a lot thicker. And everything cooked in, the garlic softened and all that stuff. And then we're going to hit it with a stick blender. Okay, so this is where we're at now. Everything's pretty well cooked down. It might be it's a little loose probably, but there's a thickness. See? My spoon's standing in it. So I'm going to go ahead and use my stick blender. And we'll see how smooth it is when we're done, if we need to work on it very much longer or if it's about ready. That's a pretty good consistency. See how it kind of sits up top? That's pretty thick. I mean, I might let it go a little bit longer, but my pan is trying to stick on the bottom. And I don't want to lose any of this or have any of the whatever may be stuck to the bottom. mix in. So I may just leave it at this. And if that's the case, but I mean, it sits pretty good. Even after it's been pureed. See? So, I mean, that's not bad. I might give it just a little bit more, and then I think we're going to can it. I don't mind a chunky sauce. If you want yours smoother, you can go longer. I'm hoping you can tell how thick it is. That looks pretty darn good to me. Let's can her up. I wanted to share something with you real quick before I threw it down on my counter. But I made my own, can you see them? Handy dandy canning mats. I made several so it didn't put so much wear and tear on my towels, but I still use my towels, so I'm terrible. But anyway, this is just a piece of an old quilt, and some of them I have patched where they're rougher. This one I don't see any patches. And then the back side, this is a flannel pillowcase that I found at the thrift. So it's really soft and flannel, being absorbent and able to take heat. And I just measured out like a placemat size. And I flipped the quilt side down and usually have this to the top. And then I have some others with different patterns. And this is what I use to set my jars on, and it's a pretty cool idea. And I just went around the edges, turn them inside out. You know, the simple basic stuff, it works really good. So I thought I'd show you before I put it down on the counter. Okay, I think I have everything I need to get started. I'm going to get on this first batch. I have my sauce in this pot, which is kind of on the edge of the frame. Clean jars, lids. I'm still using old stock lids. I have something to give it a little zhuzh to get the bubbles out. Have a clean rag to wipe your rims. I do need to get some rings. I forgot about the rings to go on the jars. Have a nice mat to set your hot jars on when you're done. Canner's clean. Got a little bit of vinegar in it to keep the jars from getting murky. Because we have hard water here. It's not a necessary step. It's totally preference. You can wash them afterwards and you're good to go. This is the juice. It's still waiting over here. It'll be the last thing I can because it's a little bit quicker than these. And I think that's it. So let me grab some rings. You also need a clean canning funnel. Clean jars, everything. These are pre-warmed up. I keep forgetting where I got my pot of sauce. It's definitely ready, so let's get them started. It smells so good, y'all. And I did try this, and it is good. So I just used the 1 packet of Mrs. Wages and maybe half a cup of brown sugar total. So, and it turned out good. I tried it. If I see a skin, I do pick it, but I've got 99% of them out. I mean, homemade's homemade, right? That's proof it's homemade. It's way better than the store. One of these days I'll get around to doing my own seasonings and stuff, but I mean, come on. Right now, I'm trying to beat the clock because I got grandbabies coming. There it is. What do you think? Yes, there's seeds in there, but it smells so good. My youngest son came in, Mr. Jesse, whom our other viewers, our regulars know. He comes and does our Bible verse at the end. He came in and he goes, it smells like pizza in here. So that's his way of giving approval. Anyway, let's get the rest of these filled up. I'm not doing any starting to get the bubbles out or anything. I'll do that at the end. Whether you see it or not, I don't know, but I'll do it at the end. I'm assuming that by watching these videos that you have some sort of experience with canning to where you at least have the basics. Once you learn the basics, and the ball canning books are good for that. There's lots of resources on the internet that are good for that. Once you get the basics down and you really understand them and you know them, then you have that freedom or, you know, that confidence to get a little bit more in depth, maybe do a little rebel canning, which I do. Do things the way Grandma did. You know, if she's not here to teach you, there are sources. My very first canning book was a ball canning book. And I only used a couple recipes out of it before I started taking off. There goes that pepper. Be a surprise for somebody. I also learned canning from somebody older than me. My husband's Aunt Bessie. She was probably in her 60s when she taught me. She was the first one who taught me how to can pickled peppers. The very first thing we ever did was blackberry jam. And she also taught me about pressure canning green beans. So I learned from her firsthand. And you know, most people, there's somebody somewhere that knows how to do this, that is happy to teach you or advise you on how to get started. Because we want that community, you know, the older ladies to teach the younger ladies. And that's exactly what she did for me. And I'll never forget her for it. I mean, I'll never forget her anyway. She was a beautiful blessing, the sweetest woman. But she is the reason, she's the one that got me started in canning. My grandmother did it when I was little. I had other relatives that did it when I was little. But I had no idea how to get started because they all passed on before I could learn. And then in your teen years, you don't want to learn nothing. You think you know it all, you know. But then as I got older, thank God I had Aunt Bessie to show me and get me started and give me the confidence to take off on my own, that probably now I can things that she may have never canned or you never thought about canning. So, all right, just a couple more for this first batch. The sauce is good and warm. I keep forgetting my funnel. So look for a neighbor, an older lady. It doesn't even have to be an older lady. I mean, there's a lot of new canners out there. Somebody who has a little bit more experience. If you don't want to deal with the ball canning book or all that, and if you want first-hand experience. I'm sure there's somebody that's willing to teach you. If I can't, or if you don't learn enough from me, we're going to keep going. And hopefully I'll have a lot more videos coming for you soon of just things that I do on the day-to-day basis in a home kitchen, my humble homestead kitchen. This is not a fancy place, but it is a busy place. Try to keep things as sterile as you can. That's why I kind of try to keep my hands out of stuff. I was checking to make sure you could even see what I was doing. And y'all, canning is messy. It's going to be on your counters. It's going to be on your apron. That's why I wear an apron. It's going to get everywhere. Clean up as you go. Wipe things down as you go. It's not hurtful at all. You know, real life is messy. Food is dirty. You got to pick the bugs off of it. You got to wash the dirt off of it. I mean, that's life. It's not going to come perfectly clean and sterile because as I tell my granddaughter, and I've always told my children, those bugs show you that that food is edible. Right? If the animals and the bugs try to get a hold of it too, you know it's good. All right. I'm going to put this here on my lid and hope it doesn't fall. Now, you always check your rims, kind of feel with your finger, and see if you feel any chips. And you're supposed to do that beforehand, but of course I know mine are good. But another way to double check it is when you run your rag around the edge of your rim there, you'll feel it snag, and you'll know if there's a chip. And if there's a chip, you better switch jars because it's not going to seal. So we're going to wipe them. Woo, I forgot to do this first. Hold on. Backtrack. Get out any bubbles. Stir it. Just give it a zhuzh. Make sure there's nothing trapped in there. I don't always show this on my videos, but it's just kind of a given. You know, give it a good zhuzh. Alright, now we're going to wipe them again. Get them good and clean. You don't want any food debris. See, you don't want anything on them that's going to mess with your seal between your jar and your lids. So wipe it down good. Get it good and clean. And I've got about an inch head space. I usually don't talk about Usually don't talk about head space, but for today. And you can look at the measurements on the neck of your jar and it'll tell you. After a while, you'll learn to eyeball things. You know what you need. You know what you don't need. After a while, it becomes old hat, right? So see, I got quite a bit. I mean, it's just definitely wipe your jars. Okay? Don't forget that step or they're not going to seal for you. And you don't want to waste all that time and energy that you put into your jars by not having them sealed. Sometimes things happen. You just do your best to make sure that they are sealed well. Oh, look at that. I had exactly enough lids in this box. Woohoo! All right. Give it a nice hug. I say a hug, not too snug. That's how I put it. Remember that whenever you're doing it. You don't want to crank that lid down crazy tight. That lid, or that ring feels like it might be. There it goes. Not too crazy tight. All right, let's put these in. This is a water bath canner. If you put meat in your spaghetti sauce, or if you put mushrooms in your spaghetti sauce or something like that, you're going to want to pressure can it. But for me today, we're going to water bath this. I may have too much water in here. Hug, not too snug. I have tough hands. I don't typically recommend this. Ooh, she's hot. Let go. I have tough old hands. I forgot to turn the camera back on before I put the last 2 jars in. So the last 2 jars are in. Canner's full. You want to make sure that your water goes over the top of your jars. You don't want your jars sticking out from the water. We're going to put my lid on. Listen. Can you hear that? Thunder. All right, I'm going to turn this up. Get it boiling. Do not count your time until you get to a full rolling boil. I'll show you when it starts up. And once it comes to a boil, you'll set your timer for 40 minutes. I'm going to turn this a little bit because there's a vent in this lid and I like for it to be off to the side. Now when this canner, water bath, is really full, sometimes it will bubble out. So just be aware. It's you know, keep the kids away. Turn it down a little bit so it's not, you know, crazy overflowing. But with quarts, your canner is pretty full. And this is a big canner. And you just don't want it all over the place, splashing all over you. So just kind of be aware of it. If it happens, I might show you and show you what to do. Listen. Yay! I hope we get a little rain. All right, let's see when she gets boiling. Okay, that's how you want it. You see that good boil? That's how you want it before you start your time. So now that she's at a good boil and the jars are covered and it's consistent, we're going to start for 40 minutes. And then when the 40 minutes are up, we'll shut her down and let her rest. Remove the lid, let the jars rest a little longer, and then pull them out. Time's up. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to shut it off. We're going to hit our timer button. Not going to touch anything. I'm in the steam. We're going to leave it alone, okay? When it comes down to complete quiet and it's not bubbling at all anymore, I'm going to remove the lid away from my face, and I'm going to let the jars rest for, it depends on how busy I am, 10-15 minutes, and then we'll remove them from the canner and put them on our mat. Let's lift her out. Hopefully it doesn't siphon. I'm moving a little fast because my little ones are here and they're eating dinner. But there it is. Looks pretty good. Move it slow, move it slow. Now, once you get these transferred to your mat, you're going to let them sit for up to 24 hours. The longer you let them sit, the better. With my small space, I usually do overnight. That's about as good as I can get. So, tomorrow morning sometime, I'll move them over and start my next project. But everything looks really good. Some of them are already sealed. Look at that. I'll bring one up to you. Point. I just heard one seal in here. Where's that? That one. This one's already sealed. You see chunks of garlic in there. Looks awesome sauce. There are some tomato seeds, but that's okay because I was just able to get it done quicker that way. So 7 quarts for the pantry. I've got a lot more I need to get done. Let's hope I do. I don't know if I got enough tomatoes or not. Anyway, got her done. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you learned something. If you have any tips or tricks you want to share down in the comments, go right ahead. I love learning from you, just as a lot of you like learning from me. That was Jesse boy. Anyway, do what you can right where you are.
Psalms 34, verse 8. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him.
Bye.